Hello, my name is Dale. I am also known as the Witch of YYC, and I talk to you guys about my opinions and also the information, the themes that are channeled through me regarding the spiritual war that I believe humanity is in. One thing that I want to mention off the top here is that the spiritual war, it's not something that is new. I think a lot of people are waking up to it and it feels like it's new. It feels like a lot of the darkness that we're witnessing, whispering, I almost said. Are we whispering the darkness? Maybe we are. Interesting. It feels like a lot of the darkness that we're witnessing is coming to light right now. And it's not as though it's never been there before. It's always been hiding within the shadows. But what's happening is that it can no longer remain in those shadows. And what we're seeing is we're seeing everything being revealed. And this revelation, it can be really uncomfortable. And so I don't want to shy away from that kind of message. I do like to focus on the positive, the strategy, the things that we can do, and not really focus on, the negative or the lack of hope, because I think a lot of people are feeling that right now. So I do want to acknowledge it. But personally, for me, I'm feeling pretty hopeful in this situation, knowing that that this revelation has to happen, that in order to really transmute this darkness and everything that we're seeing in the world, there has to be this level of awareness of it. There has to be this this revelation, like it has to come to light, so that A, we know what we're dealing with, B, we know how to transmute it, and like what things that we need to do, and so that we can meet it, so that really we can meet it with love. So that's where I'm coming from, and felt called to share that. So what I do is I pull cards, and these cards are, they're astrological, and in nature, they have really great imagery and numerology, and there's a theme to each of these cards. So what I do is I take a look at the theme and see what comes through and how this relates to the spiritual war that we find ourselves in. So this first card is Sun in Aries, and it's assertion. Okay. And if you can see the imagery on the card there, we have the sun, and it's exalted. So this is a huge theme for me right now. So if you are not familiar with astrology, I try to break it down in ways that are easy to understand. If there's any questions about it, pop it in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. But each planet in astrology has a sign that they are at home at. So I love talking about the sun. The sun is at home in Leo. And we are in Leo season right now, and I am a Leo, so this could be why I love talking about it, because it's like talking about myself, and that's a very Leo thing. But so the sun is at home in Leo, that the sun, that's its place of rulership. And however, each planet also has a sign where they are exalted. And this is the sign that they absolutely love to be in. It's almost like their higher octave, their higher expression. And this card is Sun in Aries, and the sun happens to be exalted in Aries. So I love that this is the first card that came up, because this has been a real big theme for me lately, is how to express ourselves in that higher octave, in that higher expression. And so the theme of this card is assertion, and we see this knight slaying the dragon, which I think is a very positive card, because while we're feeling like, maybe there's not a lot of hope, or things are really dark in the world, there's a lot of despair, and all of that kind of stuff, by asserting ourselves, we're able to slay these dragons. There's no dragon that we can't slay. The story has been written, you guys. I don't know, like, spoiler alert. The story has been written, and the light wins. I don't know, it just got something in my ear there. The light wins. We just have to play it out. That's what we're doing, okay? And so we don't have to fear these dragons, but we do have to assert ourselves. We still have to put on the armor, protect ourselves, do our daily rituals, shower ourselves in light, and be assertive. And what that means is really about being in control of our actions and our emotions, right? So Aries is the sign of cardinal fire. It's almost aggressive. It's the warrior spirit. It's the spark of creation. And so that often has a negative context around it, because emotions like anger or aggression or even defense are looked down upon in our society typically. But I think what this card is really referring to, because it's the sun in exaltation, right? So it's really controlling those emotions, those actions, those impulses, and not letting them control you. Because the knight is honorable. The knight is in integrity. The knight has a mission and a goal and is bound to certain vows and a code, right? And so is not going to act outside of that. And if they do, well then, well, it happens. We can talk about that. But the real point, I think, to this one is that it's okay to take action where we need to. It's okay to feel like we have to fight in a battle, because that's really, I think, personally, what's going on. I think the key here, though, is to decide what are going to be your weapons of choice. For me, one of my main weapon of choice is love, is compassion, is this empathy where I can meet anybody where they are at, regardless of what they're going through, what their situation is, and how that might be judged, okay? Because ultimately, it's all part of the human expression, the human spectrum. And we are all capable of the worst, and we are all capable of the best of the best. And I choose to see that potential in everyone. Sun in Aries. I love that. Okay, next we're moving to, this next card. So this is a bit of a different side of the spectrum, which I love. I'm all about that duality. So this is loss. Okay, so here we have Saturn in Pisces, which, by the way, Saturn is in Aries right now, but it's retrograding, and it's about to retrograde back into Pisces. So this is a theme that is going to be pretty relevant pretty soon. So what do we see here? So on the card, the imagery, we have a castle, some people being shown around the grounds of the castle, and then we have a crow picking at a skull. Great imagery. Dark, but beautiful. And so Saturn in Pisces is a really interesting, what's the word that I want to use? Balance, I guess. It's an interesting balance. It's an interesting tug of war, even because we have Saturn, which is a very grounded planet. Saturn is about practicality and discipline and structure and rules and boundaries. And Saturn is also about karma and tough love and hard lessons, learning through hard lessons. But Saturn is also about manifestation. It's about taking what's in the spiritual realm and making it solid in reality, in the material realm. Saturn is Earth is the material realm. Okay, it's time, Chronos, father time. This is Saturn. And Saturn in Pisces is interesting because Pisces is kind of the opposite of that. Pisces is ruled by Neptune and Jupiter, and it's up in the air and it's dreamy. And Pisces is like really spiritual and connected to everything and wants to go with the flow and isn't really so much about structure and is almost boundaryless and egoless and is completely like almost undefinable. Pisces. It's very romantic and emotional and kind of all over the place a little bit. And also like wants to just, like I said, kind of go with the flow, doesn't really want to do the work. Like doesn't have to do the work. Well, okay, that's maybe a dangerous thing to say, but because Pisces is so connected to spirit, it's like it is already an embodiment of the work in its highest expression. I think I saved that. So when we look at Saturn in Pisces, this is almost like a reality check. This is, and I think like why the theme of loss is on this card is because it really forces us to take a look at the reality and what is actually happening. And part of that, you guys, in the spiritual war is realizing that in a battle, there is going to be loss. Okay. These next 2 years, so while I mean, this year is already over half done, 2025, but 2025 and 2026 are going to be beautiful, but also challenging. Okay. And a lot of the beauty comes out of those challenges because that's where we grow. That's how we evolve. That's how we transmute. But through these challenges, there is going to be loss. And what could that look like? That could be loss of friends, family members, loss of pieces of yourself, loss of relationships, loss of work, loss of ideas or thoughts that you had about how the world worked and now you're seeing it in a different way. It could be actual loss. It could be metaphorical loss, right? It could also be just change in general. When we look at change, every change is a death. Whether that's, you're moving to a new area or someone is moving out of your home or you're changing jobs or you're moving from school into a job, or you're moving from a job into retirement, or you're moving, any kind of move is a change, and any kind of change is a death. And that's change of relationships. It's change of the world. It's change of your ideas. And honestly, that can be really hard. Straight up, I'm just going to say it. It's not always easy. In fact, change is rarely easy. But what we do through change is we transmute, right? So we take these losses and we turn them into lessons. We take these losses and we turn them into gold, right? Little golden nuggets of truth. Or if we're losing, like, let's say you feel like you're losing a part of yourself, then it's like, okay, now there's space to fill that with something that's more authentic. And that goes for anything. So when we are losing something in our lives, we're making space. Okay. So that's a lovely way to look at it. And when we think about the crow pecking at the skull, this animal is gone, but it is now feeding this crow, and the cycle of life continues. And that's something to keep in mind, is that the cycle of life continues. So as we go through the spiritual battle, every end is actually a beginning. So what are we looking towards? I think that's the message for that one. Okay. And the last one that came is achievement. So we have the sun in Capricorn. Achievement. And this feels like a real sandwich here, and it feels like a story, right? Doesn't it, you guys? So assertion, the battle, loss, a consequence of the battle, and then achievement, winning the battle. I don't know. Is it just me? And here we have a golden statue, the golden lamb. And then we have a time wheel, it looks like to me. And then also like this fortified city, this fortified castle, right? So achievement. And that's really about, I mean, if I think of the sun in Capricorn, the sun is our egoic expression, it's our individuality, it's the self, and our creativity, and how we are expressing this one part of the universe through this vessel and what that looks like. And then Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Got some themes going on here. And Capricorn being ruled by Saturn is about like hard work. And I think hard work and discipline and time and putting in the effort and the big payoff and the big reward and really getting this achievement for the effort that you're putting in by the assertion that you are putting forth. And I think what this is trying to tell us is that it's going to pay off, you guys, that all of the work, whatever it is that you're doing to get you through. And by the way, if you need suggestions or help on, or like a guide on how to navigate the spiritual war, send me a message, let me know, go to the website, because it's kind of what I'm specializing in, is helping people navigate these waters and also to step into your spiritual gifts so that you can feel more comfortable in this evolution. Sorry, that was just a little bit of a trigger word for me right now. If you've watched my recent video about how humanity is not going through a spiritual evolution, that's why, but check that out. I'm not gonna get into it here, but I really love that this card came at the end because it feels like what we're doing is fortifying our castle, and we are not necessarily building walls, but we're building a new structure. We're building a new paradigm, a new example, a new model of what we want society to look like and how we want our communities and our relationships and our work to be integrated into our everyday lives. Because I think a lot of us in this spiritual war are realizing that the system that is in place currently does not work. I don't like to say this system is broken, because it's not. It was designed that way. It's functioning exactly the way it was meant to. It's not broken. In fact, it's a fairly well-oiled machine. But it's incompatible, I think, is a better way to phrase it. The system is incompatible, and it's incompatible with nature. It's incompatible with harmony. It's incompatible with community and our tribal spirit and what's good for our soul. Right? I think there's a lot of advancements that have come out of the system in terms of technology and things like that in the names of security, efficiency, and convenience. However, I think what that has done is really denatured us and removed us from the things that bring us joy, that fulfill our souls, and help us to relate and connect to one another in a harmonious resonance. And I think what we're doing right now in this age of Aquarius is we're taking it back. We're taking back that power, and we're really designing the future that we want. And this card coming up last, I feel like, is confirmation that what we're setting out to do, we will achieve. Okay, awesome. So I'm also going to pull a chakra insight card just to see, like, on an individual level, is there something that we need to be focusing on or maybe even on a collective level. We'll see. We'll see what comes out. We'll see what comes up. I personally love working with the chakras. This is something that I've been studying and working on for decades. And yeah, it really resonates with me. Ooh, okay. Intelligence. Okay, so intelligence, education, knowledge, perception, flexibility. I love that flexibility is one of the words on this card. Okay, and the first message that is coming through is intelligence. This is in the mind. And if you've studied human design, or if you know anything about human design, by the way, shout out to my friend Billy, Raven Magic. I'll put her website down below. She is an amazing astrologer and human design reader, also tarot card reader. She's taught me everything that I know about human design. And the thing about human design is that the mind is an amazing processor. It's so good at helping us to organize and make sense and analyze information. However, we're not meant to make decisions from our mind. We make decisions from our other centers, from our heart, our gut, our sacral, things like that, our inner knowing. It's more about that bodily inner knowing rather than the mind. The mind, however, is such a great machine, if I could say. And intelligence is another such weapon, if I may, that I like to be equipped with within the spiritual war, right? Know your enemy. Not that I actually believe that we have enemies, but that's probably a topic for another video because I could go deep, deep into that one. But know what you're up against. Know what you're working with. Know what is happening, right? I think that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that the awareness of what's going on in the world, in the spiritual war, within these battles is key, is really paramount. So that would be like an intelligence, education, knowledge, perception. So perception, what are you seeing as well? And I think this is a really, really key message, is that intelligence and knowledge doesn't come from what you've been told. Yes, read the books, watch the videos, clearly, and hear what other people have to say or have said, or learn from other experiences and things like that. But this perception, your firsthand experience, knowledge, sight, analysis, what you're taking in and seeing is so important, because that's how your inner knowing is going to be activated, okay? It's really about your experience, your perception. So that above all else, I would say, okay? And then but absolutely, if you're one of those ones that want to soak it in and be a sponge and get all the information, I'm kind of like that. It's great. Take everything with a grain of salt. This is a line that I like to say, is everything you've been told, you've been sold. No matter who it is, they probably have an agenda. Even with me, you know, giving the information that I'm giving, or my opinions and my thoughts, take it with a grain of salt. See how it feels within you, okay? Only you can make that decision. I'm just talking about what resonates with me. And some of it might resonate, some of it might not, and that's totally cool. I love it. I love to hear this discussion, because I really think that we all have our own inner intelligence, and that's the number one thing, personally, for me. And then flexibility. So that's another key too, is being flexibility within the information and the knowledge and the experience that you have, right? Anyone who has their mind made up 100% on anything, there's an attachment to that, right? And with that, then there's going to be a resistance to take in any new information that maybe conflicts with that, or isn't 100% compatible with that. There's this tendency to confirmation bias, right? Or to be in an echo chamber where everyone's kind of saying the same things and has the same opinions on things. And if there's a dissenting opinion or an alternate train of thought, it's shut down. By the way, that is not happening here on this channel ever. I love to hear these other opinions. I love to be really flexible in my opinion. There are things that I thought I knew and I was so sure on, and I would have laughed hearing otherwise, that I have taken a complete 180 on since. And there are many things. The list is very, very long. This is something that I kind of pride myself on, is being flexible in my ability to change my mind on something, to hear an alternate opinion and really consider it. So I encourage, and the card encourages you as well to be flexible with the information that you pull in and the intelligence that you attach yourself to. Because we do, we identify with our opinions. It's going to happen. That's human. But yes, I would encourage, be flexible as new information comes in. Consider it, look at it from different angles, see what it feels like on the inside, and how does it match your experience and your perception. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak up and to say your piece and to share your opinion, because you don't know if the next person who isn't as comfortable speaking up is thinking the same thing or has the same question. This is really key. I can't tell you guys how many like-minded people I have found within the past few years. And your vibe really does attract your tribe. And the more that you speak up on things, the more other people are going to be comfortable speaking their opinions and sharing their knowledge and their insight. And that's how we learn and grow and support each other in the spiritual war. So highly, highly recommend that. And I love to see that it's happening more and more and more. All right, so assertion, loss, achievement, intelligence, those were the themes for today. Thank you so much for listening to me. And like I said, if you have any questions, if you have any comments or other opinions or thoughts that you want to share or a conversation that you want started, drop it in the comments below. And if you have a question for me regarding the spiritual war, something that you want me to touch upon, maybe I have a hot take on it, something like that, I would love to hear those questions as well. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.